All right, let's make Red-Headed Slut on page 36, and let's also make the Surfer on Acid. In fact, let's make these two at the same time, and I'll show you a trick. For the Surfer on Acid and the Red-Headed Slut, this would be the first time that we get to use our Jägermeister. Once again, Jaeger tasting like a black licorice from Germany. First step is to ice up our shaker tins. Peach Schnapps and Jägermeister is going to give us our Red-Headed Slut, a 3 count of each. And Jaeger, along with a coconut rum, is going to give us our Surfer on Acid. Bottles back, labels out. Now for the Red-Headed Slut, we'll use a splash of cranberry for the red. And for the Surfer on Acid, you could think of the pineapples growing by the bay, since we're using the Malibu and has a palm trees on there, so it looks like a bay. Once again, for these shooters, shake. Surfer on Acid. Now I don't want to use the same cap to shake this cocktail because I don't want to cross-contaminate. So rinsing out your cap is not uncommon to do, or you can grab a fresh glass. Red-Headed Slut. Now this is what we call a simple stacker pour. I got my Red-Headed Slut here, my Surfer on Acid here. I can get a fresh rocks glass, drop that one, holding this by the base. I'm just gonna arc this and slowly pour both of the cocktails, my Red-Headed Slut and my Surfer on Acid. Very effortless trick to do, has a really good wow effect, so have fun with it. Remember rule number 1, have fun. Bar philosophy. All right, let's learn the Washington Apple. Washington Apple is a very popular shooter. Has the word apple in there, so we want to use apple pucker. And actually we're going to use Crown Royal, kind of a bottle that resembles an apple. It's going to go a 3 count of each, straight into the shaker tin. And also we're going to use the color of like a red apple, or in this scenario, cranberry juice. Just like the rest of these shooters, we're going to shake and strain. And you got yourself the Washington Apple. Now I've noticed this cocktail to be a little bit more popular as a drink, where they put a straw in it and enjoy it. To make this a cocktail, what do you think I might do? Yeah, simply add ice. And instead of a splash of cranberry juice, I'm gonna fill with cranberry juice. And now I got a Washington Apple cocktail. So it's all about how you present the drinks. The recipes are simply your backbone, or the originating of the cocktail, but you can serve it in different styles. In fact, if I wanted to, I can shake this and strain it up into a chilled martini glass, and I might call it a Washington Appletini. So just kind of an example how you could present cocktails as a martini form, as a cocktail form, as a shooter form, in a short form. So there's different ways of presenting these drinks. Very popular drink here, the Washington Apple. Under your creamy shooters, the oatmeal cookie, the buttery nipple, these are very popular shots. We'll go ahead and make both of these at the same time. Now when someone comes to my bar and they order a buttery nipple, normally I just kind of shake my head and say chilled, and they usually always order this one chilled. If they don't want it chilled, then I could probably present this cocktail in a normal shot glass and just pour it straight out of the bottle. And if I were to do it that way, I could actually layer the butterscotch on top of the Baileys. Or excuse me, reverse. The butterscotch would go in first and the Baileys floats on top of the butterscotch. However, we'll just assume that this individual wants it chilled. This will be butterscotch and Baileys for our buttery nipple, 3 count of each. And the oatmeal cookie actually gets a ½ ounce of each. And we're gonna do a ½ ounce of Goldschlager. Once again, the cinnamon schnapps from Switzerland. Buttery nipple, I'm gonna go ahead and shake this one up. And because this has the same ingredients, just in addition, I don't need to rinse the cap off. And once again, keeping track of which cocktail is which, I got my oatmeal cookie, my buttery nipple, and the simple stacker pour, just having fun with it. In fact, the buttery nipple is one of my favorite cocktails. I have all the ingredients at home, kind of like when you go to sleep. Before you go to sleep, you eat ice cream or milk and cookies. I eat oatmeal cookies. All right, the next one we're gonna learn is the B52. Actually, the B52 is actually a fun shot to have. You can actually layer this one. If you want to layer it properly, we can go the Kahlua first, Bailey's second, and the Grand Marnier on top. This will actually give you a 3-tier, or just as popular, people like this one chilled, served as a martini, any way that you want to present it. And the blowjob shot will go at this time. The blowjob shot is the same thing as a B52, except we're not going to use Grand Marnier, and the drinker is only going to use their mouths to do the shot. For the blowjob shot, we're going to go Kahlua first, halfway, and we'll do the Irish cream or Bailey's next. And then using only their lips, you're going to have the drinker come down with their face, and using only their lips, they're going to lock their lips around this shot glass. Also, we're going to put a lot of whipped cream on top. That way when they lock their lips around this, they get whipped cream all over their face. And using only their lips, they're going to lock their lips around this shot, holding the shot glass in their mouth. They'll bring their heads back and try to digest all the ingredients without spilling anything. And the concept is, if they can bring the shot glass down empty without making a mess, then they could do a great blowjob shot. All right, another popular shooter out of this group is the Scooby Snack. Very, very popular one here in San Diego. I like to think of Scooby-Doo. He likes his M&Ms. So the combination of Malibu and Midori is our M&Ms. Scooby-Doo enjoys his M&Ms. It's gonna be a 3 count of each. Remember, down by the bay where the pineapples grow. It's gonna help you out. We're gonna use a splash of pineapple juice and whipped cream. Like the same whipped cream you put on a shake, on a daiquiri, you gotta actually put the whipped cream straight into the shaker tin. And we're gonna shake and strain. And this will give you the Scooby Snack, a very sweet, refreshing shooter. Very popular around town. And I've noticed this one would be just as popular as a cocktail. Once again, instead of a splash of pineapple juice, serve it over the rocks and fill with pineapple juice. You got yourself a Scooby Snack cocktail. Very popular. Usually gets topped with whipped cream and a cherry. All right, and the last shooter we're gonna learn right now is the ICB, is what we call it, or the Irish Car Bomb. This is your 4th drink on the left column on page 37. Probably only gonna be serving this shot if you have Guinness by the draft. So we'll just have our Guinness beer. You only wanna serve them about 3 to 4 ounces. You'll see a lot of bartenders in town that go halfway or more than that. It's because they don't know any better. If you get one of those bartenders that give you over a half a glass of Guinness, simply enjoy the free Guinness and get your alcohol count or your beer count down to 3 or 4 ounces. But to serve the Irish Car Bomb in a sidecar, we're gonna use Irish cream and Irish whiskey. Kind of go with the name Irish. And this is gonna go in a shot glass. And this is actually how you would present the cocktail. You'd give it to the drinker, their stout beer or their Guinness, and their Irish, and the drinker will grab their beer, grab their shot, drop it in, and slam this back in one consumption. Very thick, chocolatey notes, a very tasty shooter, one of my favorites. In fact, just talking about it makes me want one right now. Okay, so for blended drinks on page 38, unfortunately here at the Professional Bartending School, everything that we use is actually really fake, including our ice, for training purposes, for the new students coming in and so forth. So unfortunately I can't show you how to blend the drinks, but we can talk about them and tell you what you need to know, not only for the test, but when it comes to making a blended drink in real life, using real ingredients. The pina colada calls for 2 ounces of pina colada mix. Well, what is pina colada mix? Well, a nice 50% of pineapple juice along with coconut puree make a nice rich creamy pina colada. I do notice that a lot of bars in town will go heavier on the pineapple juice. It tends to stretch out their ingredients a little bit more, but at the same time it waters down the pina colada. So when it comes to making a blended drink, your ultimate goal is not only to pour all the alcohol inside the blender along with the proper amount of mixer, but once you blend all the ingredients in the blender, that once you do pour it out, not only do you use all the contents, but it doesn't overflow the glass and it cuts off, right before the rim. and that you used all the ingredients inside the blender. That's your ultimate goal, because once again, it's all about giving the guests what they paid for. And then usually they're paying for the alcohol. So if you have extra mixer and stuff in the blender, there's actually alcohol in there. And what does a bartender do with it once they fill up the glass? They dump it out. So in a sense, you're wasting alcohol and you're not giving the customer exactly what they paid for. So that's your ultimate goal, is to make sure that you use all the ingredients inside the blender after you added all the ice, and blend and pour it all out. If there's extra, then simply put it into a rocks glass and give it to them. Like, hey, there's a little bit of extra, go ahead and keep it. And then they'll think, oh my God, he's hooking me up. In actuality, once again, you're just giving them what they paid for. So that's what it comes down to it. For the test, you also need to know the strawberry daiquiri. Now, what I've noticed the daiquiri to become today is more of a rum-based fruit blended drink. In this scenario, it happens to be a strawberry daiquiri. Now, your book talks about the strawberry mix, and usually they're probably talking about 2 ounces. Well, what is a strawberry mix? You can make one at home using sweet and sour and blending it with fresh strawberries. It's going to give you your strawberry mix so you can make your strawberry daiquiri or your strawberry margarita. Another cocktail that you need to know, your 4th one on the left column on page 38. Strawberry margaritas are normally always blended. On the rare occasion, you'll have somebody who wants one of these on the rocks, and you'll say, okay, no problem, and you'll be able to make one on the rocks. For the most part, the strawberry margarita is a blended drink, normally rimmed with the sugar along the rim. For your hurricane glass would be pretty typical for your strawberry margarita. Another one you need to know is the mudslide, a very popular cocktail. Calls for vodka, Kahlua, and Bailey's. An ice cream mix. You're probably wondering, what is the ice cream mix? Well, an ice cream mix, also known as vanilla base, would be consistent to like a melted vanilla shake from McDonald's. It has that same smell, that consistency, the thickness to it. However, you can use raw ice cream in this cocktail as well. I've noticed that when trying to use raw ice cream, though, you're going to have to take out some ice and actually dilute the ice cream with some milk. So it's going to take some trial and error to make sure that you're making it correctly without having any extras. One of my favorite things to do is actually use the ice cream with the little dots in it. What do they call that one? Vanilla bean. Yeah, vanilla bean ice cream. That's good stuff. Makes a really cool mudslide cocktail.